Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. So could Matt Gaetz be indicted soon? Seems unlikely, unfortunately, but other Republicans might be hauled off at the same time. That was the exciting news. So as you guys know, I've been keeping a close eye on the prosecution of Gaetz's former BFF, Joel Greenberg. He, pleaded guilty to sex trafficking of a minor and other various crimes. And Greenberg's sentencing has been delayed numerous times. I've shared that with you guys. This is due to the fact that he's still working with investigators. And I thought that was coming to an end because the judge said at the last hearing that, quote, absent compelling circumstances, Greenberg would absolutely be sentenced in August. So I thought it was coming up next month. Well, apparently some compelling circumstances arose because last week, Greenberg's attorney filed a document with the court, and it laid out all the details of his widespread cooperation with the government to try to score some sentencing points. And he asked the court if he could submit some of this information under seal due to, quote, sensitive information regarding ongoing investigations and prosecutions. Greenberg's attorney also wrote, quote, Mr. Greenberg has been cooperating with federal prosecutors in active investigations currently being conducted by the United States Attorney's Office in the Middle District of Florida and the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., as well as in other jurisdictions. Other jurisdictions? So, yeah, ongoing investigations and prosecutions. How fun. And then in addition to that, the attorney noted that Greenberg is cooperating with investigators against, quote, multiple individuals. So OMG, I'm going to climax in my shoes. So shortly after that news broke, then we found out that the judge has in fact pushed Greenberg's sentencing back to December. It's going to now be December 11th. So maybe an early Christmas present for us. I don't know. But I know what I'm asking Santa for. And then there's more good news. Greenberg's other friend, Joe Ellicott, is scheduled for sentencing next month. So that's on August 8th. And his attorney confirmed that Ellicott was interviewed by the feds in their investigation into Matt Gaetz. So Gaetz can put out all of these statements that he wants about how there's no evidence against him. Oh, this has been going on so long, they haven't proven anything. The fact is, the feds don't question witnesses about people that they've exonerated. Just saying. And then in other Gaetz news, one of his primary challengers has dropped out of the race. Republican Brian Jones essentially said that for the good of the party and due to the candidacy of his fellow Republican Mark Lombardo, he believed that it was best to end his campaign. So Lombardo will face off against Gaetz one-on-one. This is in the primary. This is going to take place on August 23rd. Now, the problem is if Gaetz is guilty and the feds have evidence to prove it, I believe voters have a right to know that before they potentially nominate an alleged child predator and someone who allegedly was out paying for sex and doing all kinds of drugs with these desperate young women, taking advantage of their desperation. Unfortunately, though, it's looking like Florida residents are going to be voting without that knowledge in the primary, possibly even in the general election in November. Unless the feds make a move on Gaetz before the general election, but it's highly unlikely because we all know the DOJ doesn't like to be accused of trying to influence an election. And if you were wondering, Gaetz' challenger is not a Q loon. He's not an election denier. Lombardo appears to be a unicorn. He is one of those rare Republicans with principles and ethics still. In fact, he called on Gaetz to release his emails and his phone and text records to try to prove that he didn't ask Trump for a pardon, which is what Gaetz is claiming. So that district would be far better off with Lombardo if they refuse to elect a Democrat, but we'll see. So, like I said, it's looking more and more like if they are going to make a move on Gaetz, it's not going to be until after the new year, because now we're bumping up against the primary next month and the general in November, and then his friend Greenberg isn't going to be sentenced until December. Seems like they're still investigating him. They definitely still have interest, being that they talked to the other guy about him, but we can't expect anything anytime soon. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.